The Discovery Ambassador, Vextar of the Hegemony Council, floated in his meditation chamber when the emergency alert pierced through the station's calm atmosphere. The crystalline being's form shimmered with concern as he accessed the incoming transmission. Scout Commander Zephron's voice carried an unusual tremor of fear. Ambassador, we've detected massive energy signatures from the Sol system. The humans have constructed something unprecedented. Vextar had been monitoring Earth for decades. These peculiar bipedal creatures had fascinated and terrified the galaxy in equal measure. They came from a world that should have killed them 1,000 times over, yet they thrived. They fought wars with weapons that could crack planets, then turned around and composed poetry about flowers. Show me. Vextar commanded. The holographic display materialized, revealing a massive structure orbiting Earth's moon. The vessel stretched nearly 50 kilometers in length, bristling with weapon arrays that made even the Hegemony's flagship look like a toy. Its hull gleamed with an unknown metal that seemed to absorb light itself. By the Ancient Ones, Vextar whispered, they've built a Stardestroyer. The Revelation Captain Sarah Chun stood on the bridge of the UES Prometheus, humanity's first true interstellar warship. Her weathered hands gripped the command rail as she watched the final systems come online. 3 years of construction, countless sacrifices, and the combined efforts of every nation on Earth had led to this moment. All stations report ready, Captain, announced her first officer, Commander Marcus Torres. Sarah nodded grimly. Today, they would test the Prometheus against the asteroid belt mining station that had been threatening Earth's expansion into space. The Zephyrian Mining Consortium had claimed exclusive rights to the system, but humanity had other plans. Begin approach to target coordinates, Sarah ordered. The massive ship moved with surprising grace for its size. Deep within its hull, the quantum fusion reactors hummed with barely contained power. The primary weapon system, dubbed Ragnarok by its creators, charged with energy that could vaporize a small moon. The Test-3 Zephyrian interceptors moved to block the human vessel's path. Their plasma weapons, considered state-of-the-art by galactic standards, struck the Prometheus's shields and dissipated harmlessly. They're not even scratching our paint, Torres reported with a grin. Sarah felt no joy in the coming destruction. Target the mining station. Full power to Ragnarok. The weapon's charging sequence created a sound like thunder trapped in a bottle. Energy conduits throughout the ship glowed white-hot as terawatts of power flowed into the primary array. The Zephyrian station, a massive structure that had taken centuries to build, hung in space like a sitting duck. Ragnarok is ready to fire, Captain. Fire. The beam that erupted from the Prometheus was not light, but something far more fundamental. It tore through space-time itself, unmaking the very atoms of everything it touched. The mining station simply ceased to exist, leaving only an expanding cloud of constituent particles. The 3 interceptors fled immediately. The galaxy's response across the galaxy, species that had never agreed on anything suddenly found common ground in their terror of humanity. The ethereal collective, ancient beings of pure energy, called an emergency session of the Galactic Council for the first time in a millennium. High Admiral Korthak of the Draconian Empire, whose species had conquered half the galaxy through sheer military might, watched the recorded footage with disbelief. How did they develop such technology so quickly? They only achieved spaceflight 70 years ago. That's exactly why they're dangerous, replied Sage Illumia of the Peaceful World Alliance. They don't follow our rules. They don't respect our timelines. They simply adapt. The hive mind of Kepler 442b, a collective consciousness of 1 trillion individuals, spoke through its representative. We calculate a 73.6% probability that humans will dominate this galaxy within 200 years if left unchecked. Fear rippled through the assembly. Every species present had survived by understanding the natural order, the careful balance of power that had kept the galaxy stable for millennia. Humanity threatened to upset everything. The negotiation ambassador Vextar requested permission to approach the Sol system under a flag of truce. The response came from Captain Chen herself, transmitted across space with technology that shouldn't have existed. You may approach, Ambassador, but know that we will defend ourselves if threatened. The meeting took place aboard a neutral station at the edge of the system. Vextar found himself face-to-face with the human captain, struck by how ordinary she appeared. No scales, no extra limbs, no psychic abilities, just a middle-aged woman with tired eyes and calloused hands. Your people have upset the balance of power, Vextar began carefully. The galaxy has existed in relative peace for— Your peace was built on the suffering of weaker species, Sarah interrupted. We've seen the reports. The Zephyrians enslaved entire worlds. The hegemony allows piracy in neutral space. Your balance is tyranny disguised as order. Vextar felt a chill. This human saw through millennia of careful political structures with disturbing clarity. What do you want? He asked. Recognition, trade agreements, and the freedom to expand into unclaimed space without interference. Sarah's voice carried the weight of her entire species behind it. We're not looking for a fight, Ambassador, but we won't be pushed around either. The new balance within a year, 17 more human Stardestroyers had joined the Prometheus. Each one was more advanced than the last, incorporating improvements that came from humanity's frightening ability to innovate under pressure. The Zephyrian mining consortium collapsed overnight. The Draconian Empire recalled its fleets to defend core worlds. Even the ancient ethereal collective began relocating to distant galaxies, but humanity surprised everyone again. Instead of conquest, they offered partnership. Human medical technology began healing diseases that had plagued alien species for centuries. Human engineers solved problems that had stumped the galaxy's greatest minds. Human artists created works that moved beings to tears across species barriers. The galaxy learned that humans were not just warriors but builders, healers, and dreamers. The warning 5 years after the Prometheus first fired its weapons, Ambassador Vextar stood in the same meditation chamber where he had first learned of humanity's rise. The galaxy had changed, but not in the way anyone had expected. Humans now served as peacekeepers, their star-destroyers protecting trade routes that had been plagued by pirates for centuries. Their colonies had become centers of learning and culture. Species that had been enemies for millennia found themselves working together on human-led projects that a young aide approached with a report. Sir, the Andromedans are requesting assistance. They say something is coming from a void between galaxies. Vextar nodded. Whatever threatened them next, at least they had humanity on their side now. The same species that had terrified the galaxy had become its greatest defenders. He prepared to contact Captain Chun. Now, Admiral of the Human Space Force, Vextar reflected on the lesson his people had learned. Never underestimate the species that calls a death world home. They might just save you all. The stars themselves seemed to burn brighter, as if the universe itself approved of humanity's guardianship. In the end, it wasn't humanity's weapons that conquered the galaxy. It was their unbreakable spirit and their refusal to give up hope, even in the darkest times. The galaxy had taken notice of humanity's first Star-Destroyer. But it was their humanity that had truly changed everything.